Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Today our topic to study is history of the formulation of cell theory. In this topic we are going to discuss how scientists contribute towards the cell theory and how they play their role to discover a cell. The first scientist was Aristotle. He presented the idea that all animals and plants are somehow related. Before a microscope were first used in 17th century, no one knew with the certainty that living organisms do share a fundamental unit, cell. The second scientist was Robert Hooke. Cells were first described by a British scientist Robert Hooke in 1665. He used his self-made light microscope to examine a thin slice of cork. Hooke observed a honeycomb of tiny empty compartments. He called the compartments in the cork as cellulae. His term has come to us as cell. So why Robert Hooke called cell empty compartments? Because he was dealing with dead plant cells. Actually, he observed cell walls and empty spaces. Anthony von Leeuwenhoek. The first living cells were observed a few years later by Anthony Leeuwenhoek. He observed tiny organisms from pond water under his microscope and called them as animalcules. Then in 1809, de Lamarck proposed that no body can have life if its parts are not cellular tissue or are not formed by cellular tissue. It means that every tissue made up of cells. After these discoveries, in 1831, Robert Brown discovered nucleus within the cell. He also found that there is a nucleus in every cell. Now move towards the founders of the cell theory, Sheldon and Schwann. In 1838, Sheldon studied plant tissue and made the first statement of cell theory. He stated that all plants are aggregates of individual cells which are fully independent to itself. Sheldon is a co-founder of the cell theory. After 1 year later, in 1839, a German scientist Schwann reported that all animal tissues are also composed of individual cells. Therefore, all animals are built from dividing cells just like a plant. So the next founder was the Rolf Virchow. In 1855, he proposed that all cells arise from pre-existing cells, omnis cellula e cellula. This is a Latin phrase which means all cells are coming from pre-existing cells. And the Louis Pasteur provided the experimental proof of this idea. So in the last slide, I am going to tell you about the silent feature of cell theory. Cell theory was presented by Sheldon and Schwann. All organisms are composed of one or more cells. Cells are the smallest living things, the basic unit of organization of all organisms. Cells arise only by the division of previous existing cells. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.